yes, we play football at a very high level.
Yeah.
But we're also now doing business at a very high level, using the same skills and same tools that we used when we were in football.
Yeah.
Building a good team, being a great teammate, being accountable, being on time, relationships with our clients.
Yeah.
That's important for us. Those are all things when we were in football, being a good teammate, right?
Yeah.
Being on time, making your plays. All those skills that we learned transfers right over to business.
No Free Lunch is presented by T. Rowe Price. The information provided on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified financial and or legal professionals before making any legal or financial decisions or investments. I'm Ndamukong Suh, and welcome to No Free Lunch, where we talk to experts and athletes about how the most successful people in sports manage their money and grow their wealth. What's going on, Danny, man? We got an exciting one out here in London, England.
Yeah, you're across the pond there. I'm excited about this one. Yeah, as a receiver, back in my day, I'm double excited.
Saying y'all from the same area in North Carolina.
Yeah. I went to college in North Carolina. So Elon and Gibsonville are literally like the town next to each other. And Torry Holt, the Holt brothers in that part of the world are like these legends, living legends. Really cool. I'm excited about this conversation specifically. Also, too, when I first started playing Madden, the Rams was like, that was the team, the greatest show on earth.
That is facts. Yeah, that is facts. They were the number one team and everybody wanted to be there. They were the cheat code to win.
Yep, exactly. With Kurt Warner and Isaac Bruce and Marshall Faulk. It was nothing cooler than that team back then. But I'm excited to hear what Torry has going on now. You know, he has this construction company with his brother Terrence, Holt Brother Construction. And I know that's, right up your alley. So really excited to hear about not only, playing career stories and stuff like that, but like how they built this massive company. Like they're literally doing deals anywhere from like $500,000 to like $400 million. So really big business, really big deals and contracts. And I'm just excited to listen and learn from y'all's conversation.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. I didn't know this about Torry Holt until we started researching him, and obviously he was willing to be a guest. But I mean, to have that construction company, building it from scratch with his brother, I'm excited to dive into that and understand that, but also understand like his tobacco fields and him growing up picking tobacco and stuff like that. That to me is going to be an awesome conversation. So let's dive into it right here at No Free Lunch, man. Torry Holt, the legend.
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you joining the podcast. No Free Lunch has been a tremendous opportunity to want to sit down with you, let alone here in London, England.
Yeah.
But I want to get into your early childhood and really talk about where you grew up in Gibsonville, North Carolina, and what was that like as a young kid?
Oh man, it was great. Gibsonville is small.
Yep.
I would say now maybe 5,000 people maybe now.
Wow.
When I was growing up, it was 1,500, 2,000 people.
Okay.
It was small.
Yeah.
And I made those numbers may be wrong, but it was a small town, small country town, tobacco town.
Okay.
I grew up pulling tobacco when I was young. Our recreation center was awesome. Jane Smith and Roy Williams, who ran our recreation center, which basketball, baseball, football. So we had all of that at our disposal, and it was nothing for me to walk through the path and walk up to the ball field and practice and all that stuff. So, and then a lot of my childhood buddies that I grew up with, man, we made it work with what we had.
Okay.
We played out in the streets. We played football out in the streets. We played basketball on the sides of the building. We had mattresses out in the, old mattresses out in the neighborhood. Everybody doing backflips and different things like that on the mattresses. So it was fun, man. My childhood was great. And when you're young, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So for us, that was home. That was the best thing that was going. And like I said, I grew up pulling tobacco. So that was a way as I got older, in my 13, 14, 15, and the adolescence ages, I was able to pour tobacco and make some money for myself. And
so let's talk a little about that a little bit more, talking about tobacco. One, do you get back to Gibsonville currently a lot, and how much time do you spend there? But also let's talk about pulling tobacco and what that was like. I heard you was earning $5 an hour, which I mean, compared to what minimum wage is right now, obviously it was a little bit ago. Like, how was that first job?
It was, well, I was excited because I wanted to, have some, I just wanted to have some, be able to earn some money, to be able to, if I wanted to, get a pair of sneakers, if I wanted to get some cleats. I actually worked and earned enough money to buy my own first pair of cleats, not my first pair, but to buy a pair of cleats. Yeah. And, but tobacco was tough, man. It showed me what I didn't want to do for the rest of my life.
Okay, okay.
I was like, no, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I enjoyed it then because I was able to work and be out there with the older guys and, make some money. But I knew from there I didn't want to be there for the rest of my life. But my forearms got stronger, my mentality, my just being able to, strong will, because being out in the tobacco field, I mean, it's rows, like 100-yard football fields, rows of tobacco, line after line after line, and we're pulling them for, 5-6 hours.
So paint the picture for us, because if I remember correctly, like I don't think I've ever seen tobacco fields, and like paint that picture to what it's like and how that work and that work ethic was for you as an individual, and really what it instilled in you as an individual as well.
And you mentioned it instilled a tremendous amount of work ethic in me, for sure. My parents were hard working. My mom worked at Glen Raven Mills. She dyed yarn for a living. My dad worked at Martin Marietta Rock Quarry, so he was, he was a foreman at a rock quarry. So hard work was what I saw every day, and tobacco certainly helped to shape that. But if you've never been to a tobacco field, tobacco stalks can be as tall as how tall are you?
I'm 6'4", yeah.
Can be as tall as 6'2", 6'3". I mean, they're big. When they're fully grown and mature. But initially, just that dirt and the soot and the black snakes, the snakes that are mixed in the tobacco. So you got to be aware of that.
Okay, you can't be afraid of snakes.
So you can't be afraid of snakes. You got to get over that fear pretty quickly. Yeah. And then you're working with grown men. So, I'm 13, 14, 15 years old, and I'm working with guys that are in their 20s and in their 30s and in their 40s. I mean, this is what guys in the neighborhood that didn't have permanent jobs, but this is a way that they could work. Yeah, I was working with those guys. So you had to grow up pretty quickly because you're dealing with grown men. But those tobacco stalks are huge. Yeah, like I said, dirt, snakes. So being able to get comfortable with that, and then you got to bend over to go and to be able to pull the tobacco off the stalk, off the stem. Yeah, so you got to break it off the stem, and these are not, I mean, these are strong stems. Like this, you know what I'm saying? So again,
Mother Nature.
Exactly. So my forearms and everything got stronger, which helped me be able to catch the football with my hands consistently, and not be a body catcher. I was a natural plucker.
And when DBs is breaking at your arm, it didn't
bother me because I was, I had them pour tobacco for a great part of my life when I was young. So it helped me in that regard. But to your point too, overall, the work ethic that I was able to get from that and still was tremendous. And same work ethic that I carry with me to this day.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I think for me as a kid growing up, and we're going to get into the space of construction, and my dad being a mechanical engineer, and me going to school for engineering and following his footsteps, like all I knew growing up was following my dad behind his business and working for my BMX bike via the summer, working with him and being at different job sites and whatnot. And so I more or less was cleaning and having to carry things around for him. But it was one of those things that I really enjoyed, and it still like that work ethic, and which I think is very important, and which a lot of kids don't really get. Yeah, and I'm forcing my kids to be on job sites and see what manual labor is like, but also you can use your brain, and there's AI and all these different things. You can work on both sides.
And then you also mentioned too, do I get back to Gibsonville? I do get back to Gibsonville. My grandmother still lives in Gibsonville. Okay. My grandmother's 89 years old.
Wow. Congrats.
Still lives in Gibsonville. Yeah, thank you. So she still lives there. So I do get back to see her. My mom and my uncles are buried in Gibsonville. So I do get a chance to get back to home.
As you were working in the tobacco fields and earning money and being able to buy your own cleats and sneakers and things of that nature, what were your first early memories of money? And really just one, earning that and understanding the value of it, for lack of better words?
Yeah, it really, you know, when I started earning some money, I was like, man, I could, it allowed me to be able to feel good about making purchases, whether it was cleats or if it was clothes or a lunch or whatever the case may be, or, you know, helping out my mom and dad if they needed, you know, the dollars, just being able to go out and to earn capital. But I've always, from a young age, and I think it stems from my mom and my dad, but particularly my mom. My mom was one that would write out all of her bills, write out her groceries, and as she knocked things out, she scratched them out.
I love it.
And she calculated her dollars on the right side. So I understood whatever amount of money that I had, I understood the value of it, to appreciate it. Yeah. And if you can make, as I got older, if you can make enough of it, it could set you up for great things. Yeah. Money certainly eliminates a lot of stresses if you dabble with it right. Yeah. If you take care, if you're a good stewardess of your dollars, it eliminates a lot. And then once I got to the National Football League and I finally got my first big check, I was like, yo, man, this is real. Yeah. What was that first big check? If it made dollars wise, if you don't mind I was sharing. 6 overall. My first deal was 5 years, 10.5 million. Okay. 5.2, something like that. Signing bonus, I think it was. Yeah. So, you know, after paying your agent fees and taxes, I still had way more than I ever had. And I just said, you know what? This feels good. The freedom in which money provides you. I was like, this feels good. So I got to do it. I had a conversation with my financial advisor. I said, look, help me to get myself set up. So hopefully one day I don't have to ever worry about money. Yeah. And we started that from my rookie year. I started to save. I started paying myself after each check when I was, when I was in the league, and that just allowed me to accumulate dollars. But my perspective on money is I have a tremendous amount of respect for it. Yeah. There's other things that make me happy. Okay. My family, my kids, wife, friends, ball, etc. But money eliminates the stresses of me trying to go out and grind or do some things that I don't necessarily want to do just because I'm trying to make a check. Money has afforded me to stay away from those things.
Yeah. So I want to go back because I love just the comments and notes that you mentioned about like just preparing for life after football when you were in it, in the midst of it. I think that a lot of kids miss that early on, and even into this day and age with all the technology that's there, they miss that. I got to start focusing for what I'm going to do post sports versus while I'm in sports. But you said something key. Your mom basically had a budget that was handwritten out, every single purchase, focus of what she needed, not only for you as a family, but herself individually. Did she ever sit you down and teach you that, to say, hey, eventually you're going to be in the same position as a young man growing up in this world, and I want to teach you something, and then you expand upon that? Right. What was that conversation like at home?
She never really set us down. Her and my dad never really set us down and really went over budgeting, but we saw it so much from her writing it out. And we would ask, hey, Mom, what are you doing? Yeah. Hey, I'm writing out bills for the month. Yeah. And I just, just watching her over time, I just learned. I just picked up on that habit. Yeah. And to this day, you can ask my wife, to this day, we work off a budget. Yeah. Yeah. A little larger budget than what it was when my mom was working with. Yeah. But we work off a budget. We're very conscious of what we spend, what we make, what we spend. Again, just trying to make sure that we stay within our means, but have a good lifestyle. Yeah. But want to stay within our means because we want, over the long haul, we want to have a good lifestyle. And even for my kids. Yeah. Like I have 3 kids, 20. My son is a civil engineer. Okay, love it, yeah. Braden's 24, my daughter Torry is 22, and then Brooklyn is 21. And, and we talk to them about budgeting. We talk to them about money and making sure that they're good stewards of their dollars, because you want to, hopefully the goal is, even with them, is you want to have the longevity of dollars, wealth. Yeah, no question.
Wealth is key. And really something that you're saying in there that's very key, in my opinion, is delayed gratification. And being able to not suffer, but let's not have that immediate gratification right here, right now. Yeah. Let's enjoy life, but push it out to where we can really enjoy it when we're completely free. We're 60, 70, 80 years old and have nothing but time but to travel and have fun and do things of that nature. And I think that's, again, and a great segue to like understanding, like, how do kids build, in your opinion, for the future while they're in the middle of sports? They just want to work on their craft. They just want to focus on it. Football, basketball, everything. That's my life. But also understand, hey, I got to have this focus of saying, I got to take care of financial success right now and my opportunity to have financial freedom later on in life. So what was that like?
I say to the kids, I say, Braden's working. My son Braden is working. My daughter Torry is looking to work. Daughter Brooklyn is looking to work when she graduates school. And I say to them, if everybody's got a job, everybody's got a career, everybody's holding their own, we're all each other's crutches. Yeah. We can help each other. Mm-hmm. There's no, feeling like you have to pick up for this one, I have to pick up with that. Everybody is doing their thing. Everybody understands what the finances are. Everybody understands what their budget is. And everybody has to make sure that they live within that. Yeah. But again, back to your question, it's ongoing conversation with your kids and your loved ones about financial literacy. It is huge. And you hear it so much. You hear it way more often now than I ever did when I was growing up, because now people are coming into much more wealth and much more dollars and wealth now than what it was, when I was growing up. So I think it's a great thing, but you have to make sure that you're having conversations with your loved ones about finances. Yeah.
And that's key. And I think for me as an individual, having come into money and then being able to have great mentors that have showed me not only budgets, and because my parents did, I think, a good job of like giving me parameters, but they've never had $1 million. Right. So they can't tell me what should I do with $1 million. So I was fortunate if I had a guy named Joe Moglia that showed me his budget, and he was a chairman of TD Ameritrade, and he had multiple $1 million deals and opportunities through all his jobs, and was a football coach. So we hit it off, and he showed me his budget, showed me and I still use his same template till this day. Good. So having that. Have you ever been in a situation with family, and also I'm assuming you don't want to, based on what I'm hearing, enable your kids and family members to, with money and showing them, hey, this is how you can be a part of the family business. For example, let's use your son. You said he was a civil engineer and you have a construction company, which we'll talk more about, but hey, you can come join the business and add a division to it. Cause that was like a goal for me as a young kid with my dad's mechanical engineering company. Hey, going to school for construction management engineering, I want to add a division. I don't want to just get a job working for you and then enabling and getting paid. So how do you look at enabling family around money and things of that nature? Yeah. Well, it's or not.
Well, none of my kids right now they haven't shown any interest in construction. Yeah. As mentioned, my son being a civil engineer, he could one day maybe come over to the firm. And if he wants to, that certainly is available for him. Yeah. But I want them to do what they want to do in the space that they're happy in, and earn the money and income in the space that they enjoy doing. And then in terms of family, man, my family for the most part they've been good. Yeah, it's been good. I will share this story. When I first got drafted, I bought my dad a home. Mm-hmm. He still lives in that home. Mm-hmm. Bought my grandmother a home. She still lives in that home. And then I bought my sister a home. She still now lives in that home. Yeah. And she's now a homeowner. Okay. She owns her home now. Yeah. Initially when I bought it, it was, it was in her name, my name. Yeah. I was helping with it. But she's now going through university. She's now a full-time teacher. And she is now a full-time owner of her own home. So that in itself was huge for our family. And like we told her, now you have home ownership, you do whatever you want. You can pretty much do whatever it is you want to do now. Yeah. Having that home ownership, having something that you can be proud of, and that was a really, really big moment for us and our family. Because my brother owned his own place, I owned my own spot. Now my sister owned her own spot. So that was really a goal of ours, was to have our own, and now she has her own. So I try to help out the family as much as I can when need be, but I'm not just passing around money. It's a conversation. And if I can help, great. If I can't, if it's something that I don't want to deal with, I don't do it. Yeah. But my family, for the most part, has been really good about getting their own. Because I come from a family where everybody worked. Everybody went out and got their own. So it wasn't like someone was sitting around waiting on someone to pass them a buck. Everybody would get up and get out and get their own job. So I've been thankful to have a family that hasn't really brought a lot of issues to me in terms of finances.
Yeah, no, I think that's important for people to understand and hear that, and saying it's nothing wrong to give a helping hand, but also let's earn this together. Sure. And then obviously you're using me as a stepping stone, because that's something I've always loved, in being able to not only work with my older sister, but even I got younger sisters now and friends and families. Like, use me as a stepping stone to then advance yourself, but don't tear me down.
That's right. Yep.
And now we're both down in the dumps from that perspective.
Now nobody's helping nobody.
Exactly.
Because nobody now, no one has anything. And I have 2 nephews. My nephews work. Yeah. And my youngest nephew is going back to school now, finishing up his degree. So, talking to them about finances and talking to them about home ownership and talking to them about credit. Yeah. Having those conversations with them. I think, yes, we could give them a lot of money, to your point, but that is enabling them. But I don't want to do that. I want to be able to share with them the information that they need to better themselves. Yeah. And then if I need to help them out with some cash, sure, we can talk about that. But your mindset should be focused on getting your own. Now, being where I'm at now, I can share those experiences. I can share that knowledge about finances and becoming, in home ownership and getting your own.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to transition a little bit into, we talked about your early career of life and growing up in Gibsonville, but as you were leaving Gibsonville, you went to a prep school and Hargrave Military Academy. What was that experience like, and why did you make that stop? And ultimately, what type of work ethic did it give you as a young man?
Great work ethic, a tremendous amount of work ethic. Military is different. It's structure, which I needed because I was a little silly. Okay. Carefree. Yeah. And my dad is an ex-Marine. He couldn't get me to military academy fast enough. Like, he knew exactly what it was going to do to me, and he was exactly right. It changed my perspective on life, gave me the discipline that I needed to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do. Fortunately, I was able to play ball for as long as I did. But military was awesome, man. I met some good guys from there that I'm still in contact with. The discipline, the focus that I was able to gain from being in the military academy. And a lot of those skills and tools that I learned from the military academy, I use to this day. Okay. Prepping, budgeting, focus, goal-oriented. Those are things that I was able to learn when I was in the military academy. And I'm so glad that I was able to do it. I'm so glad that I was able to go. At first, I was a little apprehensive because I was like, man, military is going to be this, that, and third. But once I got there and I understood where I was and some of the immaturity that I had and how it helped me to mature, I was like, okay, this was so much needed. Okay. Because, when you're young, you feel like you know everything, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you think you're invisible.
And I go to military academy, man, and the technical officer tells me, hey, tells us we're going to be up at, 5:30, we're always at 6. We standing in formation, so all those things, man, just taught me that to be accountable. Yeah. Be accountable for myself and to not let your teammates down.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I'm curious to, like, you obviously have a younger brother that you've gone into business with, and we'll talk more about the construction company here soon, but you went to NC State. Yeah. He went to NC State. Like, how was that relationship between the two of you guys and really kind of setting that path forward for him? Do you feel like you were a big influence for his trajectory, or how do you envision that all coming together?
Yeah, big brother, So I would say I had a huge influence on my brother, and he's had a huge influence on me as well. Okay, being a little bro, smart, tough, feisty, focused. All things that how he was things that I would learn from him, and I was able to apply to myself. But he and I have a really cool relationship, man. I wouldn't. Man, he's my business partner. We've been in construction now 18 and been on our foundation for 25 years, and he's been there by my side every single way. I wouldn't ask for a better business partner. Yeah. He's a great brother, great friend, great husband, and even better business person and business partner. We feed off each other. He's he's out in front of the business and the meetings and the relationships, and I'm kind of more behind the scenes, but I show up when needed. But he and I talked about that initially when we got into business. We said, hey, here's what our roles are going to be. We laid them out, we talked about them, we agreed upon them, and ever since then, and we've stuck to them, and it's allowed us to be successful. It's allowed he and I to be able to work together. Because I've heard some stories where family members don't do too well
for
together.
Sure.
But my mom and dad early on told us, look, you guys, you'll argue, you may have your few fights and pushes and whatnot, but that's where it stops. You're not going to disrespect each other outside of the home.
Yeah, exactly.
And we live by that. We respect each other. We treat each other with great kindness in the way that we want to be treated. And I think that's allowed us to be really good business partners and to have a pretty successful business, right now. So now that's my dog, man. Love him to death. He's a bro. He's a friend. Again, a business partner, and someone that I look forward to getting up and going into the office and seeing him in this space and doing his thing.
Yeah, and I think that's key. A lot of people don't realize you want to wake up and be excited about things each and every single day. And we sit in a position, and this kind of goes into the conversation about like, what are you doing after sports? This has been your love, your passion, so much part of your life, 20, 30 years of your life. But what is that next transition piece? And like, also you being the example for your family and everybody looking at you as the example. What was that like for you?
You know what? It was, I never felt like that was a burden.
Okay. So there was no pressure from that.
I never felt like it was pressure. It was just, my family just allowed me to be me. Yeah. They allowed me to do my thing. And I knew that, that I was, out in front and not, and I needed to carry myself in a way if I was going to, change the trajectory of where we were and create a legacy or build onto the legacy that my uncles and aunties had already started in regards to sports. Yeah. So and they never made me feel like I needed to make it or I needed to be this star. Yeah. They just came out and supported me at games. Yeah. Yeah. They would tell me when I did well, they would tell me when I sucked. For sure. You know what I'm saying? So it really wasn't a ton of pressure. I was doing what I love to do, which is to play ball. Yeah. My aunties played ball, my uncles played ball. They was really good, top in the area, top in the high school. Yeah. So it may have been a little pressure from that, Sue, but in terms of like feeling a tremendous amount of pressure when I was playing, I didn't, if it was there, I didn't pay much attention to it because I guess I was so. And
you didn't feel it
I didn't feel that because I was so focused on playing, being involved in games, having an opportunity on the highest of platforms, which is playing in the ACC and then in the National Football League. I didn't really give it much credence. I didn't really give it much time to think about pressure. It was about being in the moment and trying to be the best I could in the moment. Yeah, no, it's one of those things is like, I agree with you. Like there was never the pressure from the family that was there. And that's a great situation to be, to allow it to be yourself and come into your own. And then obviously from that standpoint, you're becoming an example regardless or not, just because you're doing everything the right way. You're showing you went through military school, you went through college, you did all these different particular pieces. So that's great to hear. I want to get into a segment we call Show Me the Receipts. We talked about your first paycheck already and the ability to sign 5 years for $10 million. But I want to understand, what do you remember about what you spent on your first check, and what were some of those different things that you felt like you made a mistake at that time, and also like, I just wanted to do it just to do it? Well, when I first got my check, I was pretty simple. I bought some nice clothes. Yeah. I bought me a very modest home. It's funny, I bought a townhome and didn't realize it after the fact that I was in a retirement townhome community. Okay. But it was, for me, it worked. I mean, it was 4,000 square feet. It was 2,000 upstairs, 2,000 downstairs, gated community. Yeah. And I was in the community with retired people, and they treated me like their son. Like, so I would come home from games I have fresh bread, Pellegrino, fresh soups. Like they treated me like I was like their grandson. So that community was awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't overspend there, which was great.
Yeah.
And I've never been a guy that said, hey, I want this $5 million, $10 million home. That's never really been my thing. I just want a nice home. I want a reliable home. I want a home that I can make a home and feel good and be comfortable in. And that's how my wife and I, that's how we've lived. And then I did make an investment I did buy some apartment homes.
Okay.
So it was me and it's probably a group of probably 5 of us. Yeah. And a deal was brought to us in acquiring these apartment buildings. So I did do that early on in my career, which ended up being successful, and then we ended up selling it. Okay. So I learned early about good investments, but there's also been some times where there's been some bad investments. Yeah. That just comes with it. But I've been fortunate enough to be pretty, and knock on wood, I've been fortunate enough to be pretty good with my money and being a good stewardess of my money and not being foolish.
Would you mind sharing a failure of an investment? And the only reason why I ask about it is because I think it's important for people to understand, yes, we've been blessed to play great opportunities in the NFL, and everybody sees that we're kind of invincible. Yeah. But we also do have failures within things that failures aren't a bad thing. They're great learning lessons. Yeah. And I've had some great investments and some very poor investments. So I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, I would say one of the investments that I didn't totally follow through to really see if it would have come to full fruition was when I was playing with the Rams and I started my own t-shirt line. Okay. T-shirts, Scullies. Yeah. And initially, I was all into it. We had a nice rollout in St. Louis. I think I was in a couple of malls. I think I was in a mall there in St. Louis, so I was able to roll it out pretty good. Yeah. And then, as the season got going and the demands of the season, I kind of got away from it, and it kind of float. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of this dissipated. Yeah. And I'm saying, man, I spent all that time. I did spend some money into it, and I didn't really see a great return on investment. So I would say that's probably one of the failures, I guess, if you want to call it a failure, that comes to mind in my career in terms of investing.
Okay. No, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that because I think it's important for people to hear and understand that, and what that process and what you took from that is very key. And it sounded like it was a process of either not sticking with certain aspects of it to why it dissipated and just kind of ended up dying off.
And then too, just being in terms of that space, retail, I had no experience. Yeah.
Which is a tough space.
It's a tough space. Yeah. So no one to blame but myself. If I had to do it all over again, I would put together a team. Knowing what I know now, I would put together a team that could help me to see that dream become a real good financial opportunity for me, but I didn't. It's all good. So, going forward, if whatever space that you want to get into, whether it's retail, whether it's entertainment, whether it's sports, whether it's music, just make sure that you educate yourself on that space, and then put together a good team that can help you be successful.
No, that's amazing. So I got one more last question for you on the money side of things. Describe within 3 words how you feel when you look at your bank account right now.
Really good. Very happy.
Okay.
Very happy. I was not a huge spender when I played. I saved as much as I could. I saved as much as I could. So again, because I just didn't want to. I didn't want to become a statistic.
Man, that's the same thing that drives me.
Because you heard so many stories about guys that played in the National Football League or any professional sport, and then they're done and they have nothing. Yeah. I was like, that bothered me. Like that stuck me. It bothered me so much to the point where it stuck with me. And a lot of things that I did financially, that would always be at the forefront. Yeah. Okay, Torry, whatever decision that you're making, whatever you're doing with your dollars, think about if you don't do it right, or if you get too crazy, you could be broke one day. And I was like, okay, I'm playing well in the National Football League. I'm doing good. I'm making a name for myself, winning championships, setting all kinds of records. that'd be whack.
Yeah.
If I retire and I ain't got no bread.
Yeah.
I was like, I did not want to be that guy. So no, I feel really good about where I am financially right now. I feel good about the opportunity still to have earning power.
Yeah.
49 years old. I hadn't played in the National Football League in 15 years now.
Man.
And still have earning power. Yes, my brother and I have our for-profit and nonprofit, but I also have the opportunity to do appearances and speaking engagements and signings and commercials and sports and this, that, and the third, still able to earn money.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that is because of the way that I treated the game when I was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to treat the game the way I wanted it. I tried to treat the game the right way. So once I was done playing, the game would then return me the right things as well. So I think I feel like I'm in that spot right now.
Man, that's amazing because it's something that I didn't learn until probably year 3 or 4 for myself of learning how to treat the game and understanding how I can build off of it. And it's not just about being the celebrity and all these different things, which I never even look at myself that way, but it's more or less, it's like, it's a give and take relationship and the shield opens up so many doors for you.
No doubt.
And like, I'm excited to get to this. And I think this, in my personal opinion, having reading up on you, this is one of your biggest wins, but you feel free to correct me. Like the Holt Brothers Inc. Like that to me is beautiful. And it's something I'm actually working on as an individual myself, not only to pay homage to my father who passed in the last year or so. And
sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But ultimately, like using my degree. And I went to school for this in construction management engineering. And now I can actually say, I'm a real engineer. I'm actually building things. I'm not just putting money where things, I'm physically pouring concrete, putting up walls, like all these different things. So like, let's dive into this aspect of like what you and your brother built with your construction company.
Amazing, man. Amazing. You know, I never thought that I would be a construction owner. Never. It didn't cross my mind one bit when I was young. Even in my teenage years, college years, and pro years, I never thought that I would be in construction. My brother has always had an entrepreneur spirit. My father was an entrepreneur. My father had his own juke joints. Then went from juke joints to had his own club in our town of Gibsonville. So he's always been an entrepreneur. So that's where we really get it from. Like my pops would on the weekends would rent a trailway bus and he'd get everybody in the neighborhood, you know, if you can, you know, whatever you can pay, a couple of dollars or whatever, $5, $10, get on the bus. And he would take us up to the state fair in Raleigh. So we would go hang out at the state fair and everybody hang out the whole neighborhood. We'd get back on the bus and we'd drive back home. We had a great weekend. But that was the kind of mindset that he had. He was just entrepreneurial that way. And my brother has that same spirit, and I do as well. My brother has that same spirit, but we had mentors. You mentioned, you mentioned mentors
are huge.
For those that are listening, if you don't have mentors, find you a mentor or mentors that can help you and give you information and give you the guidance to help you get to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that helped us. So when I retired, Terrence retired before I did. So he would tell me what retirement was like. So I had an idea of what it was like prior to me retiring. But you know, everybody goes through their retirement and everybody's retirement is different.
For sure.
But at least I had the information from him as well as my mentors that, you know.
What was that information that he was giving you? Because I mean, I just recently retired this summer officially. What was the information and tidbits he was giving you to say, man, be prepared for this, understand this, like, you're going to have this up and you're going to have this down. Like, what was that like? I think it was because we were so structured playing the game. He was like, that's totally different because now you're controlling your own time. It's not now you got to wake up, you go team meeting at 8, lift at 9, whatever the case may be. Now you have your own time schedule that you have to set. So he put me on game with that. Then in terms of business, he was like, yo, when we go to these conferences that we go to, these people that you're talking to, they're all pros in that space. You're not. So you need to be ready to humble yourself to listen and to understand that you don't know this game. It's not that you can't learn it. Right now you don't know because you're fresh out of school. You're fresh out of pros, and these folks have been doing it for years. And that didn't really register to me until we went to our first conference. And a gentleman asked me,
what is your company?
Yeah.
What do you guys do? I couldn't tell him.
Yeah.
I could not tell him what Holt Brothers Inc. was all about.
Yeah.
I could not tell him. And I felt so small.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so little and so embarrassed. And I said, from that point on, when we go back to conferences, I would never feel like that ever again. So I went back and I learned our business.
And I love that you say that and say that so humbly to even just acknowledge that to everybody, because it's no different than you switching from a player switching from one team to another team and having to learn a new terminology.
Yeah.
You just went from one business life over here to another. You got to have a transition period to learn the terminology and what's expected of you and how to reach the pinnacle in that position. Yeah. So to me, that's gold.
And that's one reason why too. And if you don't humble yourself, and understand that'll chase you away.
Yeah. Yep.
From doing something beyond the game, whether it's business, coaching, whatever the case may be. You have to allow yourself grace.
Yeah.
To learn what it is that you need to learn in order to move into that new space. It's not football anymore. Now, the skills and the tools and things that we learn from football are transferable.
For sure. Yeah.
But you still have to learn that business. You still have to learn how to communicate. You still have to learn a soft elevator pitch. You still have to be able to explain your business and what you do. What is your org chart? Org chart. You talking about depth chart?
Yeah.
Org chart. CFO, CEO, COO. What is all? Yeah. So learning all of those things post career took time.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful that I had my brother and our mentors and our mentor that could help me and walk me through that situation in that process.
Yeah.
And then having a relationship still with the National Football League. Now we have the NFL Legends community. That you're familiar with, that a lot of our guys that are listening that play in the league. We have our NFL Legends community that helps us in our transition beyond the game. And it's critical to be able to develop those skills and those tools that you need to have success beyond football.
Yeah.
And so for some guys, if it doesn't happen in the way they would like for it, they run off.
Yeah.
Or they crawl in a rock and you never hear from them again. Yeah. You gotta allow yourself the grace in order to learn and give yourself the tools to be successful beyond the field.
Let's talk about the mentorship side of things, because I think that's a key point. And what was it like to start up Holt Brothers Inc. and what was that transition like, and what was that process, especially when you're now fully retired, full throttle in the business? Like, how did you guys start that, and what was the capital needed, and what were the things that your mentors were teaching you? And really, your brother started that off, and you now you're adding into that and taking it to another level.
So relationships. Don't burn any bridges if you can help yourself.
Yeah.
Ask tons of questions. Our mentor, shout out to Farad Ali, he took us around. We would go around and we would meet with different business folks. And we ended up meeting with a group called Balfour Beatty, a construction arm, a huge construction arm.
Yeah.
And there were not a lot of African Americans, Blacks in the space.
Yeah.
And Terrence and I was like, okay, we thought about it. We thought about it some more. And we said, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do construction. And we were told we had to, obviously got to go out and hire the right people. But we were fortunate enough a company had shut down, so we were able to acquire some of the folks from that company that were in the construction space. So they brought their knowledge over and helped us, and then we kind of built out from there. Yeah. But we use our own capital, and that capital is now coming back to us, thank God. Yeah. And our hard-earned, our sweat. Our time. There was instances when we were in office, and my brother was very good about calling people, letting folks know that we were in business. We would send out all of the emails, the literature stuff that you needed to send to let folks know that we were in the market and that we were open for business. Yeah, we heard crickets. We heard crickets for hours, for days, for weeks. So he and I were looking at each other like, man, did we make the right decision? Is this really what it's going to be? And then one day we get a call, and obviously being out and meeting folks, and we get a call, and we got our first job, and it was with ADP, and from then on, it's been
ADP as in the financial tool that helps people pay their bills or pay big companies, larger.
Correct. I think we were doing an upfit or something of theirs. Okay. in North Carolina. And from there, we from that point on, we started getting, more jobs. We started hiring good people. We started hiring a business developer, et cetera, et cetera.
And you guys are a traditional GC, general contractor.
Correct.
And what are the things that you guys self-perform? And when I say to the listener self-perform, what do you do in-house and what do you sub out? And what's your kind of overall structure?
Yeah, we sub out everything.
Okay.
So we don't do anything in-house.
Okay.
We sub everything out, and we are a general contractor.
Yeah.
My brother is our general contractor. He has his own GC license. So, and the reason why that's important, because if anyone prior to us getting our own GCs, we had someone working with us that had
the GC license. Yeah.
But if say for instance, if he was to retire and never want to do it again, then we would have been left out in the cold. Yeah. So it was like, we got to go and get our own GC license. So we got our own general contractor's license, and we from that point on, man, we've been scaling up. We've been working, sub all of our work out. We do partnerships with some of your larger contractors, and then we also do sole ventures. Okay. So we got a good balance in terms of our books. We're looking to add on more sole ventures to help with the joint ventures that we have, but we feel like we have a really good balance, a really good structure in terms of how we do business. We got a really good leadership team. Okay. We meet with our leadership team quite often to talk about strategy, see where we are within the company, see how our people are doing out on the job site. So he and I are very involved in our business, and we got a really good feel for our business. We know where things is going. We know who's who, what's happening. So we're very, very engaging, and I think that continues to help us as we go out and get more business and continue to build our business. What
are some of your guys' ideal projects, and what are some of your North Star projects of where you want to get to? Because I'll give you an example. Like I'm a developer, but also working on building a small construction company now. And like for me, it was like 5 and 10 apartments I want to develop. I just recently finished 124 apartments.
Right on, congrats.
So thank you. Sure. So like things like that, like I've gone from small scale to now, all right, now we're getting into some real multifamily side of things from the development side of things. So how do you look at it from your construction company? Is it from a dollar per amount or dollar amount being a GC, or is it you looking at just kind of impact as well from that standpoint?
I would say for me, it's impact, certainly. Okay. The dollar amount, because we're doing business, right? We're in business to make money. So the dollar amount certainly matters. And we got a pretty good idea where we want to be by the end of this year and where we want to go going forward. We have some good projects, backlog that's going to help us, achieve some significant success financially here in the near future. But our North Star, if I had to say we had a North Star, was to be a part of building a stadium, an NFL stadium, a baseball stadium, basketball stadium, a stadium. We want to be part of building a stadium. I think that would be really cool. But what I love most, though, Suh, about being in this space, being in the construction space, and being in the construction space in North Carolina, being a North Carolina kid, is being able to see the impact that we have on the infrastructure. Yeah. That to me is crazy. Yeah. Like now we drive around the city, we built Freedom Park, which highlights all the significant impact that African Americans made to the city, made to the state of North Carolina. So we built that project. Yeah. Union Station, which is our new train station downtown Raleigh, we was a part of that project. Wow. Dix Park, which is probably the biggest park in North Carolina, but certainly in the Raleigh-Durham area. Yeah. We were on that project. We just finished that project up. And it's really cool to see families come out and use that space. Yeah. It's a transformational project. We were part of building a robotics school, Faust Elementary School in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's one of the first of its kind. Wow. So kids now, K-6, are now being taught robotics and gaming. Yeah. We were able to build that school and bring that to our community back in North Carolina. So those projects like that are transformational, and for us to be able to see the impact that we're making on our infrastructure in Carolina blows my mind. It's like, look, I've caught touchdowns in Super Bowls. Yeah, I played in multiple Super Bowls. I've been All-Pro. I've been Pro Bowl. All those great things. But to be able to ride through the city and through the state with my family and friends and point and say, man, we were a part of that project. Yeah. Point and say we were part of that project.
Man, I'm cheesing right now.
It's like, it's crazy. It makes me, it's almost like I forgot that I play ball.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm cheesing because you talk about catching touchdowns, whether it's in the Super Bowl or setting records, but there's just something about it when you are able to say, wow, I built this building.
Yes.
People love it. They're taking pictures of it. And there's actually folks living in it and prospering in life because of the hard work and energy and the brain that I put mindset behind this to build this. And like, to me, that is one of the most impactful and like greatest feelings to be able to have that. And it's like, I'm working on a project right now. It's really super small, but like, I'm excited to go back home and show my boys.
Yeah.
My son, Kari, had this idea. Hey, we want to have this as our fire station. And so I had them each draw a picture of a mural. And when I get back from London, the mural's done. So I'm going to go show it to them. Like, now they get to see, like, look what you designed and what you put together as a young kid at 4 years old, being able to do that. And so
it's awesome.
Like,
So, because my thing too is, don't put us in a box.
Yeah, never.
And I had to learn that as I got older. What exactly does that mean? And I learned, and like, and for Terrence and I, and for yourself, and because. And that's the other thing too. We have so many guys that played in the National Football League that are so good in business, so good in business, that are doing exceptional things in the business space. Yeah. And for us to be able to have that opportunity, man, we didn't allow ourselves to be put in a box. Yeah. We didn't allow ourselves just to be football players. We're fathers, we're men, we're business owners, we're philanthropists. Yep. Whatever it is, like, we're more than just football. Yeah. And I think seeing those projects when we ride by certainly validates it for us. No like question. We are like, and I can say to my kids, and I can say to my nephews, and I can say to my cousins and my friends, like, yes, we play football at a very high level. Yeah. But we're also now doing business at a very high level, using the same skills and same tools that we used when we were in football. Yeah. Building a good team, being a great teammate, being accountable, being on time, relationships with our clients. Yeah. That's important for us. Those are all things when we were in football, being a good teammate, right? Yeah. Being on time, making your plays. All those skills that we learned transfers right over to business. And I'm excited for this podcast to come out, because what you're basically saying and how I'm interpreting is that you're now an example for a young kid that is a professional athlete, and they may get 1 or 2 years in if they're lucky, because we know it's 2.5 years, maybe 3 if you're lucky in this league. But you can transition to be way more impactful outside of the game of football, basketball, whatever it may be. And it's something a close friend of mine, Andrew Colas, that's Colas Construction. Like, he is like if I'm not mistaken, he's the largest African-American owned construction company west of the Mississippi. Okay. And like, I've got so much energy and excitement to work and learn from him, because we both grew up from our fathers both being engineers and having our own companies, but understanding, like, he's not just trying to win by himself. He's trying to win and bring other guys alongside him. And that's what you're saying. Like, there's more than enough construction in this world for us all to eat. No, like, we don't need to be greedy. Like, let's all share, do joint ventures, do things together. Yep. And so it's interesting. Like, I want you to make sure you get that North Star, man. You and David Tepper got to connect and build. Man, that'd be great. build the new Carolina Stadium. I'm with you. Like, we Terrence and I, we talk about it all the time. The projects that I just mentioned are great. And there's other projects that we're doing, but if we were able to do something like that, a stadium, and then you mentioned North Carolina, boy, if we was able to do it in North Carolina, that's what I'm saying. They need a new stadium, right? They do. It'll blow my mind. So look, if the Carolina folks are listening, the Panther folks are listening, you need a builder. Yeah, Holt Brothers Construction is who you need to look at. No doubt about that, man. Well, before I let you go, because I appreciate your time and everything, I'd be remiss to not ask you one of my lovely questions. But in your life and in your career, what is the biggest price you've had to pay for a breakthrough? Biggest price that I had to pay for a breakthrough. Mm-hmm. And it can be monetary, emotional, like anything across the board. There's no bars, no limits on what that breakthrough was, or the biggest price that you had to pay for the breakthrough. Wow. That's a good question. Really good question. Biggest price for a breakthrough.
it's something for me. It's like, I'll give you an example, like having to understand when I would go back to enabling and family and things of that nature. Like I had to lose one of my best friends to understand that. And it was tough for me. And even till this day, but I put most of the blame on me because yes, we both made mistakes, but I'm going to shoulder most of that enabling and focus of my wrongdoing because I didn't take the time to slow down and actually educate them in that financial literacy and all these different things that it went to going into buying a house and things of that nature. And so ultimately we both made mistakes, but it was a huge price that I lost a friendship over that will help me in the future with other friends and family that I'm working with and things of that nature. So that's one example that I'm sure I've got plenty more. And
huge breakthrough. I think if there was anything that helped to shape my perspective and not take anything for granted. Yeah. I think it was when I lost my mom. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a lot for me was centered around when I lost my mom. It really opened me up to life, about enjoying life. Yeah. Taking care of myself. Because she would always say to us, make sure y'all are taking care of yourself. Yeah. You know, make sure you go to your doctor's visits. Make sure you and your sister and brother are kind and you guys treat each other right, as well as your family. So I think losing her and it gave me, because she was such a great person, it gave me so much strength to keep going, to ultimately reach the goal that I wanted to reach, which was to become a professional athlete. Yeah. She knew that about me. She knew that was important. And when she passed away, I didn't want to let her down. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but that was that helped change my trajectory in my life when I lost my mom.
There's no wrong answer, and I think that's amazing.
And to this day, losing her still drives me, because I'm constantly looking to improve myself, because I want to make her right. Yeah. I want to make her feel good about her son and what she knew I and my sister and my brother, what we could become. And to this day, that's what drives me. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, no. And along those same lines of losing a close family member, as I mentioned with my dad, like one of the reasons why I didn't go back the last 2 years was because of him. He had asked me multiple times to retire, but something with me, I kind of fought it, but also at the same time, I never actually, when I had the opportunity to go back and play, I never took it because he was always in the back of my head, like, no, I want you to retire. Yeah. And I didn't really realize, because I thought we found out in 2019 that he had stage 4 cancer. Okay. And we got to a point, his PSA was nice and low and between 0 and 5. And then all of a sudden, after my Philly season, it pops back up. And I'm like, dang, I got to really focus on family and spending time. And he was telling me in so many ways, without saying it, like, retire, spend time with your wife, your boys, me, your sister. Me and my sister were feuding about some stuff, and we were at each other, weren't really talking and whatnot. And it's like, no, build that bond with your sister, spend time with your mom. So it's like, those are the things that you don't really realize. Like, so I wholeheartedly, again, there's no wrong answer. So I appreciate your time, man.
No doubt, man. This is amazing. I lost my mom to cancer as well, to lymphoma in 96. And our foundation, Hope Brothers Foundation, we help young kids with a parent or primary caregiver with a cancer diagnosis. And we provide education and emotional and peer empathy to those families. So again, that's my mom's, her influence on me is just trying to help other families be able to better cope and deal with that, being that we dealt with it and we didn't have those resources. Yeah. Now we're able to help and provide resources to families to be able to better cope with that. So, no, man, I appreciate you having me. Yeah, I've always respected you from afar. I know you're a businessman. I know you're very talented, smart, and I see that.
Thank you.
Sitting here with you today. So thanks for having me on.
Man, this is amazing. I appreciate you joining No Free Lunch, especially this special episode out here in London, England.
No Free Lunch. I like that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All
right, boss. It's time for the Confidently Curious question, where we ask questions that are one step ahead. Sponsored by T. Rowe Price, where they believe that asking better questions can lead to better outcomes. So my confidently curious question of the day is, I love this question. One, because I think it's super important for athletes and professionals to understand this term, but here, let's jump right into it. In NFL contracts, the money a player's due to receive, regardless of their performance, and even if they get injured, is called what? A, guaranteed, B, incentive, C, baseline. The answer is A, guaranteed money. Guaranteed money is probably one of the first and most important pieces, especially for an NFL contract, simply because this is money that you can bank on, that you are going to receive. There are incentives, there are P5, which is your salary. All of those things in a blink of an eye can be taken away from you. So you got to look at the guaranteed money. So when you see a deal that says, hey, this dude's making $100 million over 5 years, the key is to understand the guaranteed dollars. And so my first deal, for example, was $64 million and I had $40 million guaranteed. So I knew I was taking to the bank $40 million for sure. That's our confidently curious question for the week. Thanks to our sponsor, T. Rowe Price, for modeling the power of better questions in their approach to making better investment decisions. T. Rowe Price proudly sponsors No Free Lunch. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the podcast participants and do not necessarily reflect those of T. Rowe Price. Their sponsorship supports the platform and does not imply endorsement of specific content or perspectives.
Man, what an amazing conversation with Torry Holt. I've always had a lot of respect for him on the football field, but even more now on just his business acumen and where he's grown from leaving the game of football to where he is. I think some of my final thoughts and things that I take from that conversation is family is huge to him, and not only having the ability to support people, but build things with your family members and your friends, as he is with his brother in Holt Brothers Construction. And so ultimately, I think it's important that you, one, not be afraid to put yourself in a position to learn and grow. And he said, he threw himself into the fire. He went to that conference and he would never come back from that conference having felt so small because he didn't know the terminology and he didn't know how to express what he and his brother were building. I think it's a key thing for people to understand. It's okay to fail, but make sure you don't stay down and you get back up. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to No Free Lunch on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.